I need the pig roast information.
It's coming at you right now.
So that gets done for you, huh?
Apparently it'll be number 3.
Well, not now.
At some point during the day, Lorraine will get that item added and resend the agenda, and then it'll update
Okay.
once she gets a minute, so during a recess or a lunch break or something.
Okay,
Because it takes a couple minutes to refresh, but.
I can imagine.
So we're gonna have 3 little wheat things.
3 little, what, wheat things? 2, just 2, was there?
Just
other
2.
agenda? Yeah, 2.
Anything else? Seeing none, could we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Bonds?
Morse. Warren, Canada was in Morse.
Is it here?
It's not showing here.
So you ask me? If I'm logged in,
It's not showing that you're
you
logged
see
in.
me sitting here?
No, here, it's not showing on my computer.
Yeah, now I'm logged in.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we have a little back in.
So if he moves the motion, it makes the motion, his is automatically work.
In Morris, no.
He didn't push it.
Oh, after you vote.
I was there.
Lots of showed up as voting.
Right
Yeah, I
there.
just got something.
After you vote.
Oh.
After you vote.
It's just moved by hand.
Oh, you have to move it, or that's what happens. He was the first one to vote.
Larry's gonna be a long day.
He was the first one to vote, it came up on his thing. It's called for the mover, so it shows up on the screen as we need a mover, so he can.
Okay, let's move on then. County council meeting for August 1st, the minutes. Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes?
Well, she just did the confirmation of the minutes, and we're not on the screen.
Yes.
Thanks, Chairman. I'll move the minutes of the August 1st, 2019 regular council meeting.
Any discussion? Call for the question. Those in favor, please vote now. And it is carried. Okay, well, let's keep going then. The next one down is number F1, staff reports, planning development, second quarter, 2019. Hillary.
Good morning, council. So we are bringing forward the second quarter planning and development report, just to let you know what's happened in the first 6 months of the year. So we have had, I'll start with the planning project. So we worked on a couple of things already this year, one being the Hamlet growth studies. The hamlet of Iron Springs and Turin growth studies have been approved by county council, and we are working on the next two, which I do believe, Steve Hardy's already started work on the Shaughnessy and the Diamond City hamlet growth studies. So those will hopefully be coming to you before the end of this year. Also, we've been working diligently on the rural-to-rural IDPs. On Tuesday, we had our open house for the County of Warner IDP. And so that was attended by about 10 landowners / residents of the area. There was some good discussion with some of the people. They had some interesting input, nothing that they wanted to change, but some of them really saw some good merit to having this type of document in place, which was encouraging. So it was nice to see a lot of council on both sides come out, as well as administration. With regards to the Vulcan County IDP, we are having our public hearing today, so hopefully everything will be good with that. We can move forward with that. And the MD of Willow Creek IDP has already been approved by the county council, and the Hardiston County IDP is, we've sent it out just by direct mail to the 6 landowners that are affected in that area. So we should be hearing, maybe we'll be hearing back from some of those landowners in the next couple of weeks. We hope to have that one to council in October. With regards to development permits, at the end of June, we had 105 applications received. In that time frame, 96 development permits have been issued, with the remaining 9 that were waiting further information or in circulation. Of the permits that were issued, 26 were residential, 15 accessory buildings or accessory structures and buildings, 15 commercial and industrial permits, 25 agricultural buildings, so like barns, shops of that nature. 6 were for signage, 7 home occupations, and 1 institutional. So that's about the same as what we had in 2018, so we're on par for the course for this year. With regards to building permits, there is 317 permits that were received by Park Enterprises in that time, which is a little bit above what we had last year. So as we work with Park Enterprises over the coming years, we'll kind of get a better handle on how many permits we can kind of expect in that time frame, or at least have some statistics straightforward to council in the future. For subdivisions, 12 subdivision applications were submitted and approved by county council. Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, we had 1 appeal in January of this year, and the appeal board denied the appeal and upheld the decision of the Development Authority. That was for a waiver of a setback in the north end of the county. For redesignations, as you can tell from my agenda report, there is a number of redesignations that we've already handled this year. I believe there's 11, and they just keep coming in, so stay tuned for more applications in coming council meetings. Most of them have been, or actually all of them have been approved by county council so far. Most of them have been for some businesses that have expanded and wanted growth in the county, so that's been a positive in terms of planning and development, seeing that growth of businesses in the area. We had 1 text amendment, which will be coming forward today also for county council for a public hearing, just to provide some additional flexibility in the Hamlet Industrial District for those landowners in that particular area. For area structure plans, we had 2 that have been approved by county council, and then the airport area structure plan is currently under review. And that's being done by the city of Lethbridge, and WSP are providing that to the county. And we already covered off a lot of the intermunicipal relations with regards to the IDPs, but we do have a couple of things with our urban. So there was an amendment to the Lethbridge County Nobleford IDP, which was approved by county council. And then also just noting that the Future View has submitted a notice of intent to annex Glens East, northeast of the town. I haven't heard anything more on that particular application in the last few months. With that kind of covers off the very basics of what's been happening in the planning and development department. Is there any questions of council?
Thank you. Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in comparison, it's about the same as a year ago?
About the same. I have noticed that it has, we've had a little bit of a pickup now in July and August in terms of permits, so we'll see kind of what the next quarter looks like. Last year was a bit of a downturn from the year previously, but a leveling off, which is fine for in terms of workload. But it was about the same, which is good, so it means we're being consistent and the applications coming in.
So I did have a question from a couple of people, and that's in regards to the Cardston County and Lethbridge counties plan.
Oh, yes.
Well, why aren't we having an open house? Because they understand it's a limited number of people, but probably isn't a lot less than the county of Warner, Lethbridge one. So if you wanted to have input, how do you do it if you're not having an open house?
Well, we've sent out, like, there are 6 affected landowners,
Yeah.
2 on the Lethbridge County side.
Mhm.
Those 2 actually cross over onto the Cardston County side, so there's 6 on the Cardston County side. With the limited number of landowners and just an area to have an open house, there's not a particularly good location there to have an open house. We thought it would be best to, we actually sent them the full package and gave them 3 weeks to be able to contact myself or Cardston County directly if they have any questions or input. We felt that was just a better way to handle a very small number of landowners. They actually get a bit more personalized service in that regard instead of an open house, which they may or may not be able to come to. Timing might not work for them, so this way they have a larger amount of time to actually respond to that. So that's why we handled it in that way.
Yeah, these people were not immediate.
First reading and the public hearing to submit any comments, and then the document is posted on the county's website, and then there's 4 weeks between, 4 or 6 weeks between the public hearing, so there would be ample time for people to provide comments and if there's any concerns with that. So the public consultation part is, I guess, twofold. One is kind of the affected landowners more so, and then the general public hearing process.
Ken?
I was wondering that too, and it's council to council that's got to make the, I mean, it should be there, and that. And Welling was suggested to me by a member of Cardston County. And he was wondering whether or not, or how long it would be or whatever, so. I can't.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's just the number of areas, like the area is less than 2 square kilometers.
Yeah, but it's a whole,
Yeah.
Cardston County and
Yeah.
Lethbridge County.
Yeah, but the public process is still there. County council is involved in the public hearing process in terms of first reading and the public hearing. The public still have the opportunity, and councils have the opportunity to be involved in that process. The open house is just a means to actually get people the information that they need, the affected landowners. That's the purpose of the open house. It's not necessarily a venue for council to come in, because you don't make a decision at that open house. You might be able to answer a question, but it's directed so that administration can get input into that plan to bring it to council for first reading. That's the purpose of the open house, is for the affected landowners to have that first opportunity to look at a draft plan. And then we bring it to county council for first reading, so that county council can move forward with that public process. So that's the reasoning why we did it this way, and it was just decided because of the limited area and the limited landowners that would be the best way to reach out to those specific landowners, so they didn't get missed.
Yeah.
And it was done in consultation with the Cardston County.
Oh, yes, yeah, Cardston County, that's the process that we agreed to with them.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
disputing that, it's just, the question was, how do they put in input if they're interested in putting in any, if there's no open house?
Right,
So-
so there's still that,
Yeah, but I mean, maybe they wouldn't wanna come to council meeting, they'd rather go to an open house.
but they can always contact me once we've done the actual notice for the public hearing, to provide input that way too. So I guess we debated both ways, and this was the way that it was decided we could get those landowners who are actually impacted, the actual information in a better way.
Well, I don't think these people are really looking at it from that perspective.
Right.
They're looking at it from perspective, it's a county to a county.
Okay.
So, not necessarily landowner to the county, but how does it affect the whole, the counties as a whole?
It affects that boundary, right, that 1 mile on either side.
Yeah, but I guess if they were gonna develop something there, had the right to develop something there, it could affect other people, is their point.
Yes, I guess so. I've very rarely had anybody who's come outside of that fringe area to an open house.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that, it's
Yeah.
just their point.
Okay.
So, okay. Anything else on that? So we do not need a motion to accept these anymore?
Okay, great.
Okay, let's move on then. Okay. Yeah, I gotta find it here now. Oh, I see it now. H1, 1030 appointment Gary Seacrest, Municipal Reserve Projects.
Hello,
Morning, Gary.
we have a couple projects on the slate today. So the first is the Iron Springs Park Upgrade Municipal Reserve Project.
So, just a second, Eric. So we have no notes on this?
Yes, so if you go down to K, Mr. Chairman, there are things in K.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right, the executive summary is in 2019, the Iron Springs Community Association, they applied for a municipal reserve grant to upgrade the local park. The upgrades include a new swing, picnic table, and a couple benches. The park sits on county-owned property, and in consultation with the community association, it's been decided the project would be best managed by Lethbridge County staff or our department. So the cost of this project approximately $18,500, with funds coming from the municipal reserve fund. So the recommendation here is that county council approve the $18,500 upgrades to the Iron Springs Community Playground, with funds coming from the municipal reserve fund. Previously, Lethbridge County had approved a land trust reserve grant to the community of Iron Springs in 2012, and the project took quite a while to get done. It was only actually finished here last year, so that's why it would be better off if we managed this one ourselves. The background, the old swing, the Iron Springs Park, it's done. It's probably vintage 1950 or 60. The life cycle's done. While we're in there, we also want to make the safety surfacing right. It's still good for a few more years, but we feel we might as well make it good for 20 years, so then it's done.
Go ahead, Morris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You said the life cycle is done. Is that because it's slated for so many years, certain things, or is it just obsolete?
Yeah, there's a couple reasons. It's still safe, but we don't want to make it to the point where it's unsafe. We had to replace the bearing hangers on the swings. And it's a painted swing. It's got the old, blue swing. We want to upgrade so that everything looks fresh. And then, of course, but the safety surfacing is the key here. So while we do the safety surfacing, we would like to fix up the swing as well. Swings and playground equipment is not something you want to wait on until it becomes unsafe. The liability of injury to a child, that's not something you want to accept.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hear you loud and clear, but the thing is, what body is there, say it past its lifespan and it's not safe anymore? Who determines that?
So,
to me, it's just,
yeah.
just not making sense, because you're saying upgrades, and those upgrades are done so easily, and make it go for another 20-some years. That's the way I look at it.
Mhm. Yeah, so there is a standard through the Canadian Playground Safety Institute, and that's the standard we like to abide by. We recently had one of our employees take the course, so it was a 4-day course. So every month we go through these playgrounds and we decide what's safe and what needs to be upgraded. So one of the things we do check, of course, is the safety surfacing. You're right, I mean, you can hang on to the swing longer, and some of those upgrades are fine, but it doesn't look current. I mean, if you look at playgrounds in the city and other places, this swing does not look that good in my mind. The current standards, it's just outdated.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm kind of on the same thing here. The upgrades include a swing, a picnic table, and 2 benches. Does that have to cost $18,500?
The safety surfacing is cost quite a bit, yes. Trucking in pea gravel, we did a project in Diamond City, and it was their project. They kept bringing me pea gravel. We couldn't find anything in Lethbridge that suited the needs. We had to bring it in from Fort McLeod. That is a large portion of the cost. And then erecting it's a new border, the plastic border system. Yeah, these things, I know that they cost a lot of money. Sometimes, the swing isn't the larger portion of this, that's for sure. And when you start looking at benching, we bought a bench for the Fairview Park picnic table. You're looking at $1,500 for a quality bench. I mean, we've gone past the days where we just go down to the hardware store and put up a wooden bench. It's just, there's liability, and they have to be safe and meet a standard.
Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the thing is, I can name a lot of things, what lasts forever is, it depends on the maintenance you put towards that or whatever, you keep on bringing up liability, like you can have brand new equipment and you can have older equipment, but there's nothing wrong with it, the liability stays the same, but if the liability becomes such a big issue for the municipalities, then it almost comes to the point down there, you don't want to do all those things anymore, because it is getting to be somewhat ridiculous.
So a little bit of history on parks equipment. We had the insurance broker go through our equipment here probably close to 20 years ago, and he went through all the equipment in the county, and they demanded that some of this equipment be taken out because of the liability, and we wouldn't be insured if we didn't take it out. A lot of the equipment, including Iron Springs, left these facilities and wasn't replaced because the county didn't have the funds at the time. So that's a little bit of the history. I mean, the insurance demands that the equipment be safe as well. I know you can tack things together and make it last longer if that's your wish, but we want to move forward with new, fresh-looking parks.
And just to speak to council too, because we are very involved in phase 1 of asset management is complete. We're going into phase 2. I think, Gary, this will all be folded into the asset management portfolio at such a time where we'll have more of a schedule, correct, of when these things need to be replaced. Is that correct?
Right, and we're doing pretty good. There's no disasters out there. There's just a few of these old things that need to be replaced, and then we'll be looking at through this fund to enhancing parks.
Thank you.
Ross?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, with all this and the liability and everything that is there, even if we upgrade to new and everything, the liability issue stays.
Oh yes, we still have to go out each month.
Aren't, wouldn't we be better off giving that piece of property to the association that they have there and that they take care of themselves, because then our liability would be not there anymore?
I think as a municipality, we want to hold on to these parks that we provide for our citizens. In my mind, most other jurisdictions, that's what they do.
Dory?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I would agree with what Gary just said. I think we want to hold on to that, and I think we want to hold it to a standard that we feel comfortable with, and not just from a safety standpoint, from an appearance standpoint, from what we're offering. And I think we're in a very fortunate position having the funds available in the municipal reserve fund to do projects like this. I think it's great. So in saying that, I'd like to move that county council approves up to $18,500 in upgrades to the Iron Springs Community Playground with funds to be allocated from the Municipal Reserve Fund.
Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just more to what Tori said, I mean, a lot of the equipment that we have in these parks is 40, 50 years old. It's just, it's about taking some pride in what we have, updating the equipment for the kids so they can have some enjoyment. And the Municipal Reserve Fund is specific to using it for playground equipment on county-owned property. So we're using it exactly what the funds are supposed to be used for.
Claus?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Municipal Reserve Fund, is that strictly taxpayer money, or are those grants from government?
Maybe Larry can help me out with this one, we've been working with them.
Sure, or Mr. Chairman, yeah, Hillary or I can answer it. Hillary's probably more in her bailiwick, but the funds are when subdivision occurs and people provide municipal reserve funds in lieu of parkland, essentially. So and that goes into that fund, restricted, as Councillor Steve Campbell pointed out, limited for uses right out of the MGA, public parks, public recreation areas, school board purposes, or to separate different uses of land in the municipalities. Thank you.
Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, if anybody is in favor of playgrounds, it's me, but the thing is, you know, there's liability end of it, that really is a thorn in the side, I think, you know, for us as a municipality, and I don't think people are really looking for, you know, hey, before I send my kids down there, we better check out the liability end of it on whoever is gonna cover the kids, you know. The thing is, they're great things, and I don't think anybody ever questions that. However, you know, like what Tori said down, you need to upgrade them, you know. I think the upgrades could be done down there with a little bit of paint, new bearings, and a new road for the swing or whatever, you know. And I think it could be looked at a little differently and be still passing our liability concerns.
Wow.
Thank you. No, have we ever been sued or anything?
Not from my understanding, since that I'm aware of, since I've been in this position.
Thank you.
So, if I may just add a couple comments on liability. I don't think whether we have it or whether we turn it over to somebody, the person with the deepest pockets is the responsibility for the liability. And unfortunately, the way society has changed, sometimes not always for the better, but it happens on a regular basis, so we need to have stuff that is of the best quality, so we try to avoid the issue to not provide a liability to pass on. So, yeah, sometimes if it can be fixed, maybe it can be fixed. But I mean, it's kind of like the slides now. They can't be stainless steel anymore because it gets too hot on a hot day, isn't it, Gary?
There's definitely some concern there. What the playground folks do that put them up is they are careful which way they point them. They don't point them south.
Okay.
But they're still allowed if they're just not pointed north or something like that.
Okay. If there's no more discussion, I'm going to call the question. Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. Please vote now. So a motion is carried. Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, there's 2 members of council that have not voted yet.
Oh. Well, how come it says,
There we go.
Now,
I had voted.
I voted, yeah,
oh,
but it's now.
yeah, okay. Okay, next one up is Sunset Acres basketball court resurfacing.
All right.
Are you doing that one too?
I am, so yes. So the executive summary here, the Sunset Acres basketball court is located in Municipal Park, and it's in need of resurfacing. The project was going to be brought forward as part of a larger municipal reserve project in 2020. So with the current paving taking place in Sunset Acres, there's gonna be some cost savings that can be achieved if we do it while the contractor's on site. So the recommendation is that county council approve the resurfacing of the Sunset Acres basketball court for an estimated cost of $20,000. It will be less than that. This is the quote I got. The contractor has yet to get back with a price that's gonna reflect them being there already, so it won't be that much, or we will not do it. Previous council direction to provide funding for county-owned parks through the Municipal Reserve Fund. The background here is the basketball court in Sunset Acres has been a valuable part of that community for many years. And the court has outlived its life cycle and it sees limited use because of its condition. Its current condition is not good at all. It's cracked through it and the weeds are growing through. We do our best to control the weeds, of course, but there's folks out there who don't like chemical application, so it becomes very, very difficult. And we've had a couple people look at this, and it's just not good and conducive to playing basketball. So the cost, like I said, is $20,000 with funds coming from the municipal reserve. And the reason for the recommendation is because we want to provide clean, safe, and attractive parks for Lethbridge County residents. And this basketball court does not look good.
Bob?
Gary, where is Sunset Acres?
Sunset Acres is directly west of Lethbridge. It's a small community there, maybe 15.
Southwest or?
Sorry, directly west. Directly west.
Tori, did you have any other comment? Yeah, Ken?
Just a question, did they, when they're paving there, did they put that bicycle path in?
We'd have to talk to Devin on that. I'm not aware of exactly what was going on there.
Because the demographics of Sunset Acres is getting younger people, kids. They go down, use that road. I'll ask.
Yeah, I believe that was to connect the new houses there. I went door to door asking for input on the park from the residents there. They're actually in the old part of Sunset Acres. There's not very many children, but I mean, once the population turns over and new people move in, I mean, we want to have an attractive park that makes people want to move there.
Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I remember an earlier report in the year from you that showed pictures of the bad shape of that court, so I will move that county council approves the resurfacing of the Sunset Acres basketball court for an estimated cost of $20,000 with funds coming from the Municipal Reserve Fund.
Any discussion? So Gary, just a kind of do they have to mill that then and put some kind of fabric down before they repave it to keep the weeds out, or how does that work?
They're gonna completely remove the old court and start over fresh.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, the motion is before you. I will call the question. Please vote now. Okay, it has carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Let's move down to community services, L1, Lethbridge. Lethbridge County Village of Barron's Interviews and Development Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With regards to this particular agenda report, this is to kind of kick off the Lethbridge County Village of Barron's Intermunicipal Development Plan, which is required by the Municipal Government Act to have a intermunicipal development plan between two joining municipalities. This plan will create a framework for the development in fringe areas around the village and a means to resolve any disputes if they arise with regarding land use in that area. Our recommendation is that County Council appoint a member of council to sit on the Intermunicipal Development Plan Committee. I do believe the Village of Barron's has already appointed a member to sit on this committee from their council. So with regards to the IDP, it follows kind of the standard format of all of our other IDPs. It's to look at the future development of land uses around the fringe area of Barron's. For the most part, it's going to follow the urban fringe area, which is about a half a mile that surrounds the village right now. But that'll be a discussion once we kind of get into the actual planning process. It looks at transportation systems, intermunicipal programs that relate to physical, social, and economic development. So looking at if there's any opportunities for commercial industrial development around the village of Barron's, looking at other aspects of the topography, geography of the area, what can and cannot happen around there. Is there drainage courses, wetlands, ponds, what's happening in that area? I know we've had some drainage concerns in that particular area over the last few years. Any environmental matters, and also, as I mentioned, having that dispute resolution process, and how we can amend the plan and then administration of the plan. So basically just saying, how are we going to send out referrals to the village? How's the village going to send referrals back to the county when something happens in the area of interest? In our last 2019 budget, we did allocate $10,000 towards completing the intermunicipal development plan. And discussion with the village has indicated that they also have some funds available. I think they said they had up to $8,500 available to go towards the plan also. And the Old Man River Regional Services Commission, who would be kind of taking on the project, said that the funds that have been proposed would be sufficient to complete this plan. So with that, when we met administratively, it was agreed between the village and the county that having a small committee would be appropriate. So that's where the recommendation comes from, is having one member of council from each municipality sit on the committee with administration supporting that committee. So with that, are there any questions of council with regards to the recommendation or anything in the report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A year or two ago, it sounded like they didn't have a municipal development plan completed. Have they finished that, or do they need to finish that before we start? Or?
Yes, Councilor Campbell, through the chair, they have completed completed their their municipal development plan. That was approved by their council last fall. I think it was approved in October or November of last fall. So that has been done, and so that we've reviewed that from an administrative perspective. There's no concerns from that. So now that this plan can kind of tie it to what they've already done, that work that they've completed there.
Any other questions? Gordon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you noted, the cost of these plans, and as the plans are a requirement of the provincial government, has there been, or I'm sure there was at least discussion of any granting or financial assistance to smaller municipalities, and like in the situation of like a village like Barron's, was there ever any consideration from the province to aid in the cost of developing a plan that they required?
Thanks, Councilor Campbell, through the chair. There has in the past been grants that municipalities can apply for. The community partnership grants were one that have been popular in the past few years. I haven't heard that any new grants are being proposed at this time. They might come up from time to time. I know Barron's did get a grant for their MPP. So there was a grant available for that. And I think some of the funds that they do have available are kind of tied into that grant they got for the MTP. We didn't have any opportunity to apply for any grants on behalf of the county for this particular project. It was something that we knew that last year probably wouldn't be something that we could do, so that's why we allocated that money for that to help with the cost. But hopefully in the next, they have been available, we're not sure if the the government today is as willing to provide grant funding to complete these plans.
Any other questions? Or discussion? Ken? We need somebody to move that.
And just, the recommendation does say to appoint a member of council to sit on the IDP as well.
Bob?
No, we, do her recommendation.
Who are you going to appoint?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, thank you. Thank you,
Whoa,
Mr.
whoa,
Chairman.
whoa, whoa, just a second.
I would appoint Morris if he was willing.
Well, we already have a volunteer here, so.
Sorry, okay, whoever volunteers.
Who is volunteering?
Ken?
Well, I know the community probably better than any of you guys, you know. I spend, doing a lot of stuff down there over the years, and I still meet down there, and I would have liked to have been on it, but if Ken wants to do it, well, so be it.
But we only need one person. So, if you two guys wanna step outside for a minute, whoever comes back in first, that's who's gonna get it. No.
I'm not that
If
tall,
we-
so I don't fall so far.
Whose division does it fall under?
Steve Campbell.
Morris is closer to that.
Steve, do you wanna do it?
It's in my division, so, kind of,
You wanna do it that way, by division? You okay with that, Morris?
You bet.
So we have a motion that's made by Bob to appoint Steve. Any other discussion? Put it up, Lorraine.
It's there, it's coming. It's traveling across the wires.
It's wireless today.
You can push it up.
Okay, we have it before us. I'm gonna call to vote now, please vote. So it is carried. And we have nothing from corporate services, nothing from administration. Do you want to do invitations, or are they gonna be too close to the 11 o'clock appointment? Okay, let's do the invitations. 01, Exhibition Park, Board of Directors, Move Up Days, Barbecue and Dinner, August 21st. Go ahead.
It's Larry.
Oh.
It's just an invitation to the, I don't really think you need to speak on it.
How am I implicated? I'm sorry I didn't write this report. I'm not especially aware of it,
I think I was away.
to be honest. Okay.
It says you were the author.
Larry, approval by Larry Randall. Okay. Anyhow, I'll do it. So any member of council has been invited for the barbecue scheduled on August 21st at Exhibition Park. Be authorized to do so. This is the start of Whoop Up Days, and traditionally we have sent members.
Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just more on that, each night of Whoop Up Days, they're hosting, certain stakeholders. One night's gonna be agriculture stakeholders and different ones each night. So this is just a part of getting everyone familiar with the Exolution potential development and just trying to get more support from that. So I can move the recommendation that any member of council wishing to attend the Exhibition Park Board of Directors Whoop Up Days Barbecue scheduled for August 21st at Exhibition Park.
So is that the day of the parade or the day after?
The day after.
The day
The
after.
Wednesday.
Oh.
But we got something here that too.
That was the 8th, you got 1:30.
Sure.
Yes.
The day of the parade is still the kickoff party on that evening.
Okay. I don't know, because my screen covered up, I don't know what time it was.
It's on here.
6 o'clock.
It's up there if you want.
6 o'clock.
Oh,
Yep,
and what time is the other thing?
9 to 1, and then we have administrator 1.
So the pig roast for the minister though,
Is at 9 to 1.
9 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, that's what the invitation says.
Breakfast.
If you're hungry.
Wow,
Well,
they're gonna be
I
cooking
don't
that
know.
baby all night.
Yeah,
I don't know.
something wrong there.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Anyway.
an email, yeah.
We have a motion on the floor to any member of council wishing to attend to, so, are there any further discussion? I'm gonna call for the question, please vote now. So we have somebody who hasn't voted yet.
Morris. Are you?
Oh, now we got it. Okay, it is carried. And the next one is the Coaldale Lethbridge Food Grains Harvest, item number 02.
An addition. So the recommendation is that any member of council wishing to attend the Coaldale Lethbridge Food Grains Harvest Day celebration scheduled for August 22nd at the Growing Project site, which is 2 miles north of Highway 3 and Range Road 204, be authorized to do so.
Any discussion on that?
Just,
Yes, Mars?
if I may, Mr. Chairman, thank you. And, you know, if we can make it, you know, we should go there because it's a great thing what they doing in the community for the rest of the world, you know, and so if you can stop by, try to do so.
Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would agree with Councilor Zeenstra. It's a volunteer event. You've got people combining on their own time and fuel and everything like that. And everything else is all volunteers. So I would suggest that just, if you can attend, go, but you don't need to get paid for it, I don't believe.
We need a motion now, some kind. Claus?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'll move the recommendation that any member of council wishes to attend the Lethbridge, the Coaldale Food Grains Bank be allowed to do so.
So you're moving it as is? Okay. Any further discussion? Steve now? Ken?
Yeah, I would like to make an amendment. That is, that any member attending will be, local.
That's friendly enough? Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. Please vote now. How do you get rid of these little black lines?
Just touch it.
So does that mean I didn't vote yet?
No.
No. It's carried. Yeah, the addition, but we don't have, okay, the pig roast for the minister.
I have
Number
the,
3.
number 3 is the addition to the agenda, the invitation by Farming Smarter. The actual agenda is a 9 a.m. roundtable discussion. Farm Right and Farming Smarter will explain about their mandate, what their impact is. Also, Innovation and Economic Development in Southern Alberta will be there. There's 10:30 coffee and networking, and then there's a field tour followed by a lunch pig roast. And just a reminder to council that we do have the agriculture minister coming here at 1:30. So if anybody does attend this, it will have to maybe cut it short to make it back here in time.
Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The invitation says that the Ag Minister, Dreesen Walls, will be there and potentially some other MLAs, so might be a good thing to attend.
Okay.
Did we get the information sent to us already for that day? Not yet.
It just came,
Just came.
but it's not transposed onto our agendas yet.
So that thing's pretty slow then.
Yeah.
Milford's gonna take for their sewage lagoon expansion area. For now, the subdivision, we talked to the surveyor of our land titles. There is a little sliver at the very bottom. What we're gonna do is register, it's called a plan in 2 parts. So all the land will be under one title to the town of Nobleford, so we won't have a little sliver. That's where Hillary has her hand right there. There's a little odd jut out there from the way stuff was done in the past. So we'll tie that to the other parcel. You know, ideally, for the town, the land will all be consolidated to their current holding that they have for the sewage lagoon. But we can't do that because that's in their municipal jurisdiction, and this parcel is in your municipal jurisdiction. We can't consolidate land across municipal boundaries. So for now, they'll get title to that. It'll be in County Lethbridge, and who knows that down the road sometime, if you ever deal with the future annexation, they're not looking for anything here in the immediate future, but down the road at some point, whether that's 10 or 20 or 50 years, whatever it might be, the future annexation application, they'll probably just clean that up, and at that time, that likely get annexed in along with whatever else they're doing there. But for now, this is the way to accommodate them so they can get going on their expansion of their sewage lagoons. So with that, this is a fragmented quarter. All the other subdivisions out was either for the CP or for municipal purposes. And as well, this is for a municipal public purpose, in this case, the town of Nobleford. So on that basis, it does comply with the subdivision criteria for public institutional use. During the circulation here, we do not have any objections or concerns that were expressed. At this point, none of the utility companies need easement or anything like that. As one of the conditions on a subdivision approval, there is a request for an access easement, and that is just for now and for the purposes of construction, and it will remain for a period afterwards as well, just to provide access up to the north end. Is that a private access easement to be registered on Mr. Knightenbelt's land, just along the east perimeter of this parcel, kind of running up to the north, 30-meter wide access easement. One of the things with this subdivision is that the town of Nobleford would have to pay to you a municipal reserve for this type of use, and being an adjacent municipality doing the subdivision, it's not exempt from the Municipal Government Act municipal reserve requirements. So they would have to pay you the municipal reserve payment on the 27.64 acres. Which, at the time, when I sent over the agenda report to you, we do not have that value yet. But once we get that, the village will be notified and they'll have to pay that amount to you as one of the conditions. So with that, it does meet the bylaw, there's no objections received, and as county council did previously approve the ownership for the town of Milford within the county, I have recommended approval to you with the conditions of the reserve payment. Any taxes be paid up to date, that would be Mr. Knightenbelt's would have to be paid on that because it's currently under his ownership. So they have to work that out between them and the town. Development agreement if required, and the final plan of survey and the 30-meter access easement to be registered as well. So those would be the conditions on an approval.
Any questions? So Steve, just the little jagged part in that little, straight down there,
Yeah.
that's going to go to the bigger parcel that they're taking it down?
Yeah, so it'd be,
Straighten that out?
it'd be a plan in 2 parts, so they'll be registered, so it's not a, we don't want a little sliver on it with a title on it. At some point, when their boundary expands, then it'd be sucked in and everything of theirs would be all consolidated together into one big parcel.
So then the remaining balance is in 2 titles, is that correct?
The subdivision that's being created will be a subdivision in 2 parts, so it'll have the larger portion of here, and then this will be an additional part down here. So there'll be 1 title, it'll just be a title with 2 locations. And then Mr. Knightenbelt will have his title for the agricultural land.
So if I'm looking at the one map here with the checks on it, or
Yep.
I think the next
Page
one,
69.
it says proposed parcel 1,
Yeah.
27.43 acres, and the other says remainder of title 75.07.
Yeah.
So those 2 are in separate titles?
That'll be separate titles, yeah.
So who's taking the 27 acres? Is that going to Mr. Knightenbelt?
The 27 acres is for the lagoon expansion, that's directly north
So
of the.
this is a current boundary, then below?
So the current boundary is here up on the ortho photo.
The red line.
The red line is what the town owns now.
Okay,
This is Mr. Knightenbelt's current property,
okay.
and you see there's that sliver there, so they're trying to clean it up so that in the future it makes more logical sense
I got you now.
for when they do want to adjust the boundaries. It is a bit confusing.
Okay. Any other questions? We need a motion then? Tori?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move that subdivision application number 2019-0-099 be approved subject to the conditions outlined in the draft resolution.
I can't. I don't have no voting thing.
Shows you're logged in.
I don't have that.
Nobody can vote.
Very good point. Very good. Yeah. Okay, everybody's voted now and it did carry. Okay, next one is I2 subdivision application 2019-0-070 Dunsmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this second subdivision is to subdivide 117.74 acre agricultural title into two titles. The size of the parcel has changed due to some LNID comments with regards to irrigable acres. Steve will go through those in just a second. I will note that this parcel is located a quarter-mile east of the hamlet of Turin, a half-mile southeast of Highway 25, and just west of the Little Bow River area. The proposal is to subdivide a fragmented agricultural land by separating out the primarily agricultural cultivated land to the west from the east pasture grazing land that is physically divided by a drainage ditch. So Steve will go through the application and a slight amendment that was required by the LNID for the subdivision.
Hey, Mr. Chair, this next application in front of you is a bit unique, a bit different. So hopefully I can explain it as we walk through. The applicant is looking to subdivide this quarter. They have their yard there. There's a developed yard at the dwelling and such that they live at. This quarter, so they are eligible for subdivision. There is one subdivision out, a large parcel in the northwest corner there, a 42-acre parcel which is owned by Lethbridge County. Lethbridge County purchases that a number of years ago back from the landowner to turn sewage lagoons on. Part of the large parcel there, you can see the setback. There's a 300-meter setback. It had to be back from the hamlet, any residents, that sort of thing in there. So the county does own probably a larger parcel for the sewage lagoons than what you might normally experience. So with that, looking at the land with the applicant, something like doing a true, trying to like an 80-acre split here really doesn't really work. One, because of the turn sewage lagoons are out, but also if you look at the land, there is two types of land going on here. Whenever we have on the west side some farmland which is irrigated, and then on the east portion, getting into the coulees there, it's dry land, pasture land, more poor quality land. And that's the site that the house is situated on. So when we originally started looking at this, about the logical way to subdivide, we first kind of looked at just running, there is a natural drainage ditch. You can maybe see that dark green kind of curve that runs through there. And the first thought was that we'd use that as a cut-off fragmented line between the cultivated and the poor quality pasture land on the east side, and treat it as a cut-off fragmented parcel on each side. But in looking at that, it doesn't quite work, it doesn't make quite sense, because with that, on the west side, in talking with LNAD, they indicated that there had to be 50 acres on that west side in order to retain the irrigation rights on there. And there would have been less, it was around 42 acres, something like that, if we followed the true center line ditch kind of thing, so to speak. So in talking with the applicant and the LNID, the bottom portion, which is also cultivated irrigated land there, they flood irrigated on that side. So the application that we ended up doing, which is in your package there and circulated, was that we kind of squared off coming down, which is largely following the ditch as much as possible until it got to the yard, angled it on the ditch there, and then just cut it straight down, so we have straight to the south road, and that would result in 50 acres. So they would have their irrigation on there, and then largely separate the pasture land from the irrigated land on the west. Now, subsequent to that, we just got in some late comments yesterday afternoon from the LNID. So I was on the phone this morning with them and the applicant, trying to look at this, because what the LNID, or the comments they sent in, was that, which they hadn't indicated earlier, or there was a misunderstanding, but that they looked at the west side there, the 50 acres, they're not looking at just the title, but what they did was they discounted the ditch area, cause it said that's not farm, so that wouldn't count toward the irrigated acres, so that dropped the irrigated acres down to 47.4. So with that, they said below their 50 acres of irrigable units, so that then all the irrigation acres on the proposed parcel would have to be removed. So that kind of defeats the purpose of trying to adjust it, and have it so it retains the irrigation on there. So with that, in some discussions this morning, okay, Hillary has it up, is that we just, proposing to you that on that south end, there is some shrubs and fencing and stuff around the existing yard. So we would just follow that and add in that entire area, it's farmed anyways, and just increase, and it actually increases it to 52.66 acres. If we take off the 2.6 acres that the irrigation district is discounting for the ditch running through there, that it ends up over the 2.6 acres that they said would have to be included in there for it to retain its 50 acres irrigation rights. And with that, they flood irrigating on that side and they just go the whole way. So I guess it actually adds in some little extra land that could be irrigated that would have been removed anyways if we just had the straight line. So it is a bit of a jog there. It is jogging around the yard, and it is following their carrageenans and some trees and stuff they have out there, and it's including that whole kind of south farm piece to be added over. So with that, it is a little bit different, but we were trying to read the line there too from the, as you see, that north-south line on the east side of the county's sewage that goes to use, so we had a straight line as much as possible, and that area does largely separate the pasture land from the other. So if that makes sense to you, we're trying to look at the most rational, logical use of the land and retain the irrigation rights on there. It would, with this new proposal, would be 52.66 acres on the west, and then the pasture land would be 65.08 acres on the east side there, and her entire yard and stuff would remain on the east side, so we wouldn't be running through the yard or splitting that sort of thing. So with that, and I should mention as well too, there is a person, a local farm in the area, is looking at purchasing that west acres from them to keep farming. So it appears that this solution is feasible to all three parties, the LNID, the applicant, and the person who's looking to purchase it, whatever, and they can keep flood irrigating it. So with that, I present this slightly adjusted proposal to you. As mentioned, the applicant is eligible for subdivision out of the quarter, because the other one was done, that land was for Lethbridge County and the Turn Sewage Lagoons. So with no objections or concerns received, I have recommended approval to you with the conditions of taxes paid and up to date, the development agreement entered into if required, a plan of survey, and I added a new condition number 6 that says that the final west parcel size be increased to 52.66 acres plus or minus, and the east agricultural parcel be adjusted to approximately 65.08 acres to be illustrated on the final plan of survey as prepared by an Alberta land surveyor to accommodate and retain the irrigation acres on the land. And the other condition, which they will likely won't have to do anything in checking with the verticulture, is that some of the pasture land there is flagged as an as a historical resource area. It is a low level, so at this point they won't have to likely do anything. But if they are building on the land and discover something, they have to stop what they're doing and report to verticulture. Basically, is the requirement. So with those conditions and that number 6 added to adjust for the irrigation acres, I have recommended approval to you in the basis that is appears to be a logical and rational way to treat the agricultural land in this area and the difference between the pasture land and the irrigation land. do that. It is noted that it would require a waiver of the minimum agricultural parcel size, which is 70 acres. But I think that's justified on the basis that the county took out the 42 acres for the sewage lagoons. So that's the proposal in front of you. And that's here he has up here, and then the slight adjustment that was quickly put together this morning between the various parties.
So Steve, just out of curiosity, how do you get, and you said it's the west piece of the RV, the stuff
Yeah.
somebody's interested in?
Yeah.
How do you get legal access to that?
From the
I don't
south.
see a-
There's
I
a
don't see a
road.
road.
Yeah, on the south,
The
there's a road
south.
right away,
Yeah.
right here. On the map, the
The
road, there's an
gray
actual
line?
right.
And
right-
it is a road?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a county road.
It ends, it peters out on the east there, just past their yard entrance, but right there where we've got but it is a developed county road.
And it just ends there?
Yeah, because there's a coulee.
Oh,
That's how we go into the river.
Yeah, right on.
It's got it.
Tapers off there, and you can't physically put the road beyond there.
Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The LNID wouldn't have had the ability to grant a waiver on their minimum irrigable acres?
They indicate they won't do that.
Okay. Worked it out anyways.
Any other questions?
Subdivision application 2019-0-07 be approved, subject to conditions as outlined in the draft resolution, and the amendments that Steve made there, and that would probably get to notification of that one as an official one.
Now, please vote. And it has carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was a bit of a confusing one,
So the next one is subdivision application 2019-0-103. Alderman, go ahead, Lori.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This last subdivision for today is subdivision 2019-0-103 for Mr. Kevin Ailman. And it is to subdivide Lot 2, Block 4, Plan 9911484, from one parcel into 3 parcels. This parcel is located, was recently brought forward to County Council as an area structure plan, known as the Ailman Area Structure Plan. And the proposed subdivision complies with the area structure plan as approved by County Council. That was approved in, I do believe that was on June 20th of this last year. So as you'll note in your agenda package, it shows, on page 101 and 102 of your agenda package, it shows that there's 3 parcels to be created, all over 2 acres in size, so it meets the minimum size requirements of the county's land use bylaw, and as I mentioned, it does comply with the approved area structure plan. Steve will go through the planning comments and the conditions of approval.
And Mr. Chair, as described, this proposal is to create some additional country residential acreages in an area that is established as a group country residential area. That's what I've referred to and known as the Pearson subdivision. The ones originally started the subdivision up in that area north of the city. The parent parcel was designated to group country residential as mentioned. The county council just this last June approved the area structure plan. Back when this was zone group country residential years back, there was no area structure plan done. This area was kind of flagged in the IDP discussions with the city of Lethbridge. One of our policies in there is that prior to further subdivision in this area, that the area structure plan would be needed. So that was done. The ASP that the county council approved back in June included an existing layout and the potential lots. looked at the access and soils analysis and a drainage plan for the area. So this application in front of you is for the 3 lots on Mr. Ailman's property. It does conform to the area structure plan that was adopted. This too, because of the way historically this area was kind of fragmented and then some re-subdivisions went on. We're dealing with a little bit of some unique access situations. But it does conform to the ASP and the proposed 2.95 acre middle lot, which contains the existing yard. And the proposed 3.14 acres, which is the west lot, and the 2.10 acres, which would be the front lot, which we would consider vacant lots. The access does come off of that east municipal road, which is a kind of forced road there, put in to serve this area and not the coulees there many years back. So all the parcels in the end, there will be a bit of a panhandle, if you want to call it that, on the north side of the perimeter to get to the back west, but they all will have access. There is an existing easement on the south side there where a bunch of those parcels come in that will remain in place. So with that, it conforms to the land use bylaw for group country residential criteria. It conforms to the area structure plan. So I have recommended approval to you. During the circulation, there were no concerns or objections received. And we'll note that in accordance with the policy that we have in the IDP, so we didn't circulate to the city, and that's because they were circulated the area structure plan. So if they have no objections or are okay with that, we don't have to circulate at the subdivision stage if everything conforms. So during the circulation here, we did hear back from that Fortis does require an easement, so that we captured under number 5, condition on the resolution. We just recently received comments from ATCO Gas. They don't require an easement or anything, and Alberta Health, who has no objections or concerns, just sent their standard comment letter. So with that, I have recommended approval to you. Municipal reserve was previously paid when this was created in the past on the full thing, so there's no municipal reserve payment because once it's paid, you can never take it again. So that was previously dealt with. So it would just be the conditions of taxes paid up to date, development agreement entered into with the county, surveyor's sketch, the final plan of subdivision for registration. Condition 5 would be the easements, which Fortis needs something. Number 6 pertains to the supplying the copy of architectural controls. As part of their area structure plan, they talked about that they would register some architectural controls to have a nice quality subdivision. So we do that at the same time the subdivision is registered, so they're on title. And number 7 would be that the applicant is responsible for obtaining any approval required under the Water Act. So those 7 conditions on there, I recommended approval to you.
Bob? Thank you. Now, you've got north, that Peshkaka water, I was wondering, it's on the south side, is it the south? Did we ever hook up any of the guys on the south of the river to that line? Cause I think you crossed the river before that, didn't you?
This is in the south.
Yeah, south,
Yeah.
like you got it on the north and Lethbridge County water line.
It's not, it's in the south.
Okay, so it's an error on
And they
here.
have access to water.
I know they have the access, but you gotta set it to north on your paper.
Well, any typo.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's in the south.
That's what I thought. Otherwise, I'll approve it.
Oh, I see the applicant had that on the application.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, okay, gotcha, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'll approve that subdivision 20190103 with all the conditions.
You can move it. Steve.
That's what I saw, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Why does the east lot, have to have the panhandle? Why can't it gain access just off that south road?
I can answer that. Councillor Campbell. There is historically been some issues with regards to access in this particular area, which we dealt with in the area structure plan. So the landowner directly to the west of Mr. Allen, Mr. Bates, when they created these parcels here, he has a long driveway which he granted an easement off of for Mr. Allen's property, but it was deemed that it would be almost too complicated to get that easement adjusted, and it would be in the landowner's best interest to create a panhandle with a shared driveway off of Range Road 21-4A versus trying to get an additional access off of Mr. Bates' driveway. Mr. Bates is not willing to give that road as road right of way at this point in time. It's something that we will probably look into at some point in the future. As you can see, there's two driveways right next to each other. So it was complicated, and the area structure plan did address it, and we did agree that Mr. Allen could have a shared driveway access for two of these parcels off of the Range Road, just so they have legal access to a road versus working with an additional landowner who is unwilling to work with the county.
Could you run that by just once more? How does the one beside Mr. Bates get access?
Through an easement. There's an existing easement that he agreed to with the previous landowner. So there's an easement to allow for one access.
Right there, yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
And he was unwilling to grant additional accesses off of his roadway.
So how does the next lot over, how does it get access?
Which lot?
Going right there?
Yeah, there's a panhandle access. If you look on page
I think, yeah.
102 of your agenda package, there's going to be an access that comes off of the county's main road.
It's not like theirs.
Oh.
I know, but it's not
okay.
102 on the agenda.
Oh, well, it's 102 on mine.
Yeah. It probably would have been easier if we would have had it up there to see.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I will, when we do subdivisions in the future, I'll
So
make sure
that's,
that I have.
that's
that
why
on
that
there.
one lot is just barely over 2 acres.
That's right,
Oh, okay.
yeah. It was to accommodate this kind of odd road driveway situation in this particular area.
And Mr. Chair, not to convolute the situation, but just as some background, and you might have been the only one in council at the time, I don't know if you remember back, because it was back in about 99, 2000. The landowners on the south there also have an easement on a different parcel. It was those landowners were fighting at the time about the easement access. It was back at that time, the county council, they said that they weren't gonna allow group country residential anymore to use easements for access over multiple parcels. You had to have the physical and the direct access, and it was that, those landowners to the south is what the county.
There's been quite a few issues out there, the lights and parking on the road.
That's
and-
right.
Yeah, I remember all that, yes. Yeah. So the other
That's the
question,
reason,
the
yeah.
other question is going to the east of there, there's a CPR right away. That's not used, is it?
No, it's an abandoned right of way, it hasn't been used.
So was this originally a CPR
Subdivision?
subdivision?
I don't believe so, I think this was just created by the Pearsons originally,
Okay.
in larger lots, and then it slowly has been
So,
subdivided over
reduced.
time.
So,
I
so
don't know
where,
that that railway was actually ever used.
so where was the old mine over there? Was it anywhere near any of these lots?
Yeah, it's kind of underneath this area,
It's
so.
in this general area here. You can kind of see where there might have been some activity way back then.
Okay. Any other questions? Is there a motion on the floor? You wanna put it up, Lorraine? You may go ahead and vote now, please. So one. Ah, now we got it, okay, it's carried. Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Mr.
you'll
Chairman.
that water. Okay, let's move down to section J, bylaws. And the first one is bylaw 19-028, J and K Hadnaggy, amendment to land use.
Sorry, I had to do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as per your agenda package, this is first reading for bylaw 19-028 for Mr. and Mrs. Hadnaggy. And it's to amend the land use bylaw from rural recreation to rural general industrial and rural agriculture. So this particular property is the old Ridge County Raceway, which existed for a good number of years, but it was ceased operations in 2008, and the owner has since then dismantled much of the infrastructure that was used for that raceway. I was down there recently, in that area recently, and noted that there isn't much there with regards to evidence that there was a raceway. Maybe you could see some of the one building there that looked like it might have been, while maintaining their residential acreage on the southwest. This was just north of this parcel is the Viterra Transmark development. So there is a number of industrial type development to the north already. As you can see, there's they do the rail car storage to the north, and there's the main CP rail line that goes along Highway 4. So this parcel, so this is just first reading of it. So we would anticipate having a public hearing for this particular application in September of this year, at which we'll provide the rest of the comments from the, or get the comments from the external circulation and any landowner comments as they come in. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I have one, and it
Okay.
says here, the applicant landowner wishes to lease out the building to accommodate a business.
Yeah.
But when I look at the map, the building is outside of the area that's highlighted.
I do believe they
Or
are
is that
going,
incorrect?
nope, that is correct. That's the areas that they provided to me, so I do believe they want to construct a new building in the rezone area. So I think that was a bit of a a calculation there, because I do believe that that building, it is outside of the rezoning area that
Yeah,
we
because
have.
there is only
Yep.
one building here. Yeah.
That's right. So, that's what they indicated as their area they want to rezone, so I can only assume that they would want to construct a new structure on the rezone area. But I will talk to Mr. Hagney to make sure that's what he wants before we have a public hearing. He got this surveyed out, so I can only assume it's correct.
Okay, yeah. So, then the other question is, well, for business. So they don't own the dugout, so where would they get water from?
They have, there is an agreement for the use of that dugout for this property. If there's an easement on title for that dugout, for the,
Because it's on the other part of the section. The dugout belongs to the other.
It does, but it's
landowner.
there's an easement over that dugout area for the use of, for the acreage area.
Okay,
Yep.
any other questions? If not, we could use a motion to go to that first reading.
I'll move so, yeah.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, you may proceed to vote now. And it is carried.
Chairman?
Thank you. Bylaw 19-034, Lethbridge County and Cardston County, intermunicipal collaboration and intermunicipal collaboration framework agreement.
As council's aware, we've been doing this for the past 6 months, internally doing both the IDPs and the ICFs. And this latest one is with the County of Cardston. You'll notice there is a little typo on the back of your list of services. We did fill out our side, but somehow Cardston County got missed, so that will be corrected before we sort it out. The addendum to the plan, there is a list there, and it only has ours on the back. It was a good opportunity to meet with County of Cardston and get to know each other a little better through the IDP and the ICF process. Largely, it's going through the motions, it's formula, and we do have to have it submitted before April 1st, 2020. So we're well in hand with all the ICFs that are coming forward. So if there's any questions, please let me know.
So the recommendation would be, there isn't one here.
Yeah, there is.
The recommendation would be for county council to adopt the ICF with the County of Cardston.
Sorry, go ahead.
Larry?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. It's a bit tricky, if I can just point out, if you look, I can't really show you my screen, but it's all in blue. There are actually 2 documents there. It sort of looks like one. So if you click towards the top of the document, that's the actual report to council. And then under that, if you were to click, it's a copy of the actual agreement itself. So I fell prey to that, and I was wondering as well. And
So he would give you the first 3 readings.
That's correct,
So your
yes.
recommendation is kind of to do all 3 today?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman, yes.
You don't, so you don't have an open house for ICFs, right?
No.
No.
Thank you. Okay.
And no public hearing required.
Okay. Is there any questions or discussion on this? Everybody got the right page up?
Little technical glitch, the report is actually not coming up.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it? Oh, I didn't get it.
You gotta click on the first blue section where it says bylaw 19.
I did that, and all that comes up is the bylaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's
But
no
the
actual, there's no
actual report.
Oh, okay.
Next time. I have another one coming September 5th. We did.
Somewhere down the line, we're training new staff.
What's that?
We're training new staff.
Okay, I'm gonna send the adoption first. Okay, so Mr. Chairman, we'll need someone to move the adoption of the ICF agreement. And I can send the resolution to you.
So you need to move first reading.
It doesn't, we can do either one. Doesn't matter, whatever you want.
Well, one says you have to have 3 readings. And then, well, I'm not quite sure what you're suggesting then.
We have to adopt the report, so first, I think, or.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that's what we've done in the past for these ICFs, is we had a motion to adopt, and then once it's been adopted, then we've gone through the 3 readings, if my memory serves, or maybe in the opposite order, but I know that's what we've done in the past.
Okay, so we could use a motion to adopt the report. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. please vote now. And it is carried. Now we do the first reading. Cory?
I make that motion, Mr. Chairman, for bylaw 19-034, Letteridge County and Cardston County ICF.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Okay, so I would encourage you now to vote, please. Lars, we're not getting your vote for some reason.
Oh, I pushed it, but that must have been too early.
Okay, it's carried. Second reading. Bob? Any discussion? Seeing none? Whenever you're ready, please go ahead and vote. And it's carried. Now, motion to go to third. Ken? Any discussion? Has to be unanimous. Okay, the motion is up on, maybe go ahead and vote, please. Mike does the same thing. Actually, need one of them pens, a little rubber being on the end.
The rubber.
Do we have a little, a pen with a little rubber tip on it?
Right here.
Oh.
Everybody's got one.
Try this.
Just copy. Look right here. There you go.
Yeah. Can you make, so it's carried. Can you make those boxes just a little bigger?
I don't know, I don't know.
Because for fingers, they don't quite get in this.
You mean the crease in red?
Yeah. We did that. Go to third? Third reading? Okay. Steve, or, yeah, Steve is moving third. Okay, it's before you now. Please go ahead and vote. So it is carried. Okay, we might as well brace for lunch now then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Project number 19-PW-01 Sunset Acres Mill and Inlay was approved in the 2019 capital budget for $830,000. The project includes a local improvement levy component of $83,000, which is to be applied to all benefiting parcels. Details are included in the attached bylaw. The local improvement plan was prepared by Municipal Services or Tech Services and sent out to all affected parties. And a valid petition was not received by the county. So therefore, administration went forward and prepared the local improvement bylaw. And we are recommending that council approve all 3 readings of the bylaw today. Devin's got up on the screen all the affected parcels. There are 22 in total. I believe that comes to an annual payment of, roughly $250 per parcel for 20 years. Per year, yeah.
And if I may,
Thank you, Jim. So you can pay it off all the points too if you want to, and what is that sum gonna be then? It's gonna be probably less than $5,000, I would say.
Yeah, definitely the less, council's insurance. $300. Tracy will just look it up for you. Just over 3,000, I believe, was the.
if you pay it off.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, because there would be no interest component if you pay it off all at once. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Ken?
Codler's subdivision in
Takers? No. That's the Edgemore Estates, yes?
there?
No, this is just for Sunset Acres.
So that's not including that road in Sunset, right?
That's correct, it's not, if you look at the map here, where my hand is, this northerly cul-de-sac, the middle cul-de-sac, and the southerly ones are the only roads getting upgraded as part of this project.
Okay,
This north-south road
yeah.
is in the budget for 2021.
Where's it?
That's
This is it,
really bad.
Is it 2020 or 2021?
2021.
So you're doing all the other red lines in 2021? How does that work? You got them all in red, so.
Sorry, the red line is just note a paved road, it's not the project limits. The project proposed for 2021 is Township Road, at the intersection of Township Road 84, south to the end of this cul-de-sac. That's the 2021 project.
And then when you go, is Edgewater, got theirs paved already?
Yes, that's all brand new pavement from where the hand is right here on the map,
Yeah.
all the way through Edgemore's brand new. And that's what the developer paid to construct.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, Ross?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That road that's just above there, can't read what kind of number it is on there. But is that one in good paving condition?
It's better than 22-4, but it'll need an overlay, I would say, in the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah.
Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What do the residents, see from the local improvement plan? Like, they got something in the mail and then no petition, but what's included in the package that they see, I guess?
Okay, so there's a letter explaining all the, I guess the MGA outlines all the information that we need to provide to those landowners. So we have to provide a plan and send the landowners a summary of that plan. Well, I just sent them the whole plan. I gave them as much information as I could, and with a map of the benefiting area in there. So they got a letter stating what's gonna be done, the costs, your options for paying it off, and then it had a map included as well to show the area that's affected.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we could use we have to do the same as before, we have to go to accept the report and then do the readings, or?
No, we can proceed with first reading right away.
Okay.
The other one was a little different. You had to, yeah.
Steve, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move first reading of local improvement bylaw 19-035. the Sunset Acres base and project.
Any questions? Before you now, so please vote. Need one more vote.
Is it me again?
Yeah.
Where's my notes?
Okay, it's carried. Ken? Any discussion on second reading? All right, if you could put that up, please. It is now before you, so please vote. And it is also carried. We need a motion to go to third.
I'll move so, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so the motion is to go for third. Can you put that up, please, Roy? So it's before you now. If there are no questions, I'll vote, please. And it is unanimous and carried. So, third reading. Bob? Right, if you want to put that up at time, if there's any questions. Seeing none, it is before you. I'll call for the questions. Please go ahead and vote. There, that's carried. Okay. Let's move on to item number 4, bylaw 19-036, Riverbank Estates Base and Pave Local Improvement Bylaw 19-036.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So similar to the last bylaw there, project number 19 PW05 Riverbank Estates Base and Pave was approved in the 2019 capital budget for $170,000. And the local improvement portion of that is $17,000 and will be applied equally to all benefiting parcels. Again, a plan was prepared and sent out to all residents and no valid petition was received. So we have prepared the bylaw as presented. There are only 8 properties in this, benefiting properties within this project. And the annual levy for these is thank you, $212 and $246 per year for 10 years. We only went on this, and just because the size of the project is so much smaller.
And is that the one right across Highway 3, right on the edge of the river?
Yeah, I can just zoom out a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I know where it is. Okay. Any further discussion? We would need a motion for first reading then, please. Ken? Any questions? Brian, if you want to put that up. Seeing no questions arose, please go ahead and vote. Second reading, Bob? Any discussion? Wanna put that up, Lorraine? Seeing as there are no questions, please go ahead and vote. It is also carried. And go to third.
Move to.
Morris? Must be unanimous. Any questions before we go there? Lorraine, can you put that up? Seeing as it's up, please go ahead and vote. It is carried. And third reading.
Mr. Chairman.
Steve? Any further discussion? Lorraine, you put that up, please. Seeing as there are no questions, I'll go ahead and call the question. Go ahead and vote, please. We're still missing one. Mr. Z. Oh, there we go. And it is carried. That was scared the heck out of everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, let's, it's not quite 1:30, so let's go to council reports, and we'll do those. P1. It's on here. Yeah, very last thing. Everybody got it up? Okay, so on June the 6th, I had a meeting with Ann, CEO meeting. June the 5th, rather, June the 6th, council meeting. June the 7th, mayors and reeves meeting. That was a joint meeting in Tabor with the mayors and reeves from southeast and southwest. And Grant Hunter meeting with him here at the county office. On the 10th, the town of Coaldale sought turning for the RCMP attachments in the building. On the 12th, met again with Ann. On the 14th, the town of Coaldale mowing drain phase 2A ribbon cutting, which actually didn't cut a ribbon, they didn't have one inside. And, I don't know, I got this one down. June the 17th, met with Mr. Penny over a rate concern. The 18th, Norland Manor Estate Open House. It was very well attended and nice facility. The 19th, irrigation workshop, and again, met with Ann afterwards. 20th, council meeting. 24th was to Calgary for the Protein Industries of Canada workshop, and a meeting with the Minister of Transportation, Edmonton, in the afternoon. On the 26th, met with Ann again. July the 4th, special council meeting. July the 6th, town and Coaldale parade. The 16th, the International Triticale meeting down at the, what do you call it now? Used to be the old the Bridge Lodge. The Sandman and Executive thing. It was kind of interesting. They had lots of people from all around the world. There seems to be kind of a bit of a revitalization in Triticale right now. So making of bread and other now, more so than they used to be in the past. And then in the afternoon, I went to the Interfaith Food Bank. They had their 30th anniversary and an open house for their new facilities. So they have a community cooking facility there that anybody can go in and book and use. And they also have a cooking classes for kids and young people. It was kind of interesting to see the 4, 5, and 6-year-olds in the kitchen playing with the stuff. Especially the can openers. That was quite interesting. There was more food outside of the can than in it. Then on the 18th, we were supposed to do a Bridge City News interview and got in the door and found out they decided that they had more important news for the day and sent me home. 19th, meeting with the Economic Development City of Lethbridge and Lethbridge County over a possible development in either or municipality. And the 22nd, finally did the Bridge City News interview. Any questions? Sure. Steve, or Claus, get this right, yeah.
That protein industry workshop, can you elaborate a little bit on that one? I don't know, maybe you guys did that the 2nd of July when I wasn't there, or?
It was in Calgary.
Yeah.
So it was their annual general meeting. And they went through what they've been doing, up to date, what they're looking at doing over the next few months, and potentially for the next year, actually. So far, they've cut it down. I think they got 4 projects right now that are currently front and center. They didn't reveal where they might be. They're looking at those 4 projects right at the current moment, encouraging people to keep on the path and make sure you're up to date and ready to go if you have a project you think might be handled in that capacity.
So where are we on that one, if possibility would come that we could qualify for that?
They didn't specifically name where anybody was on the list. They didn't actually tell us who was on the list.
Have they contacted us?
I'd have to refer you to Ann for that one.
And just for, one of our challenges too, of course, you know, is our infrastructure piece that we're trying to get in order, the wastewater and all that beforehand. But right now, they're looking for specific ready projects, is what they're looking for right now. Yes, yeah. We're working on them. We have our one application in with we were trying to get, that was one of the reasons we went on to meet with the Minister of Transportation, but because right now that everything is frozen until October, we will not hear about our application until that time. So this Highway 3 project that we were jointly submitted quite a while ago got hung up with the provincial election, and now it's getting hung up with this funding piece. So.
Anything else? Okay, let's move on to Ken Benson.
June the 6th, council meeting. June the 7th, meeting with Brett Hunter. Here. And then the 10th, the town of Colville saw turning for the new RCMP detached building. June the 14th, town of Colville, a white drain, phase 2, ribbon cutting. Grant Hunter, he came because he would have been his first ribbon cutting and he wanted a picture of it. And they took it into the building and stuff like that, and they didn't have a little bit. And then June the 20th council meeting, July 4th, special council meeting, July 8th, I took our family up to the Calgary Stampede. That was interesting. And then the Yuko Japanese Gardens 52nd anniversary celebration.
Any questions for Ken? Next up is Tori.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. June 6th, we had a council meeting. 7th, met with MLA Hunter. June 14th, the Moy Drain Phase 2A non-ribbon cutting in Coaldale, the June 20th council meeting, and the special council meeting on July 4th.
Any questions? Seeing none, let's move down to Steve Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. June 6th, council meeting. The 7th, met with Grant Hunter, MLA. June 12th, County and Pitcher Butte IDP committee meeting. 13th, Exhibition Park committee meeting. The 14th was at the Malloy Drain Phase 2 ribbon cutting. 20th, council meeting. 26th of June, Community Futures meeting. July 4th, special council meeting. And a couple other things in July, was the Nobleford Parade and the Exhibition Park Board. We hosted Lethbridge City Council one evening for a supper dinner. Thank you.
Any questions for Steve? Seeing none, let's move to Bob Horvath.
June 6th, council meeting. June 7th, the meeting with the Grant Hunter at MLA. June 7th, Nikayuko Japanese Garden celebrations was held in City Hall. June 10th, Town of Coaldale Saw Turning. June 13th, South Grow Annual General Meeting. And then June 18th, Norland Manor Open House. Council meeting on June 20th. July 4th, special council meeting. July 12th, Nikayuko Japanese Gardens 52nd anniversary celebration. And the 15th was a property tax meeting because that one guy complained real bad. Thank you.
Any questions for Bob? Next, Councillor Morrissey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. June the 6th, council meeting. June the 12th, Dutchess County Town of Pitcher Butte Intermunicipal Development Plan meeting. June the 13th, county seed cleaning plan. June the 19th, irrigation workshop. June the 20th, council meeting. July the 4th, special council meeting. And I also would like to, I'm not sure why it's not on here, but I also attended a couple of the communities for their parade and.
The reason why it isn't here, Councillor Zeenstra, because these are just ones that were put in for, that you attended, that you get a per diem for. So we'll have to figure out a way to add the other ones as well too.
So what I do is I just write it down,
Write
and
it
just
down.
cross the lines through the rest.
Okay, yeah, thank you, but then, yeah, there is more things to be added to it, but that, we're learning, I guess, as we go on.
Any questions for Councillor Zeenstra? Bonds?
June 6th, council meeting. June 7th, meeting with Grant Hunter. June 12th, Pitcher Butte IDP. And June 18th, in Orland Manor. And June 19th, Economic Development Lethbridge. June 20th, council meeting. And July 25th, Southern Bridge.
Any questions for Bonds?
Where's Sewa at right now? I know something came out with their siting, you know, there was supposed to be a time frame on them picking sites. How far have they gotten with that?
Right now, we're at five applicants with 11 sites. Sorry, 5 applicants with 11 sites.
So we no longer need to accept this for information. And we can look in the closed session. So it's not quite 1:30, but is it close enough?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So let's move on to G3. Yeah, 1:30 public hearing.
Yep.
Bylaw 19-020. Vandenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I don't need to,
Oh, before you go too much further,
sorry,
almost forgot, we need a motion to open a public hearing. Sorry. Rain, you want to put that up?
Who's the mover?
Sorry.
Okay.
Anytime you're ready, please go ahead and vote. Okay, it has been carried. Thank you, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's paying more attention. So with regards to bylaw 19-020, it's a text amendment to the county's land use bylaw, so there's no map to show you of a specific area. The Nicola Vandenberg put in an application to amend the Hamlet Industrial District of the county's land use bylaw for the purposes of giving some more flexibility to that particular land use district. And to allow for business owners or landowners who own buildings in that area, the opportunity to have different types of businesses located in there that would be compatible with the existing uses and potentially, you know, compatible with the surrounding areas. So in certain cases, we have industrial, Hamlet industrial that's closer to residential, so there would be appropriate to have some more uses in there that could be compatible with that. So with that, in consultation with the applicant, we decided that 2 additional uses would be able to give a broader range of uses for that particular land use district. And so that is minor recreation and fraternal clubs and organizations. In my agenda report, I have included the specific definition for both of those. Recreation minor, minor recreation, it's quite a lengthy definition, so I'll paraphrase. It means specifically a recreation use facility or structure that is passive, of low impact, or isolated, and on a smaller scale, with typically less potential for offsite impacts than, say, like a major recreation facility. May include like a public park, playground, sports field, historic site, page could be a swimming pool, indoor type facility where you could have like a soccer field, athletic club. So it kind of runs the gamut of pretty much anything as long as it's on a smaller scale. It's not like a campground or like a golf course that would be of obviously a larger scale. So the minor recreation is a use that is right now is included only in our rural industrial district as a discretionary use. And so given that they're both industrial districts and they would have similar type users, we thought it would be beneficial for the Hamlet industrial to have this particular use in it. Where, you know, somebody, if they had a large structure, might be able to convert that into, say, an indoor sporting type facility, an archery range, a sports field, a gymnasium, something like that. That could potentially benefit the hamlet for which it's in also. The other use that was contemplated or that has been applied for is the clubs and fraternal organizations. And this is meant for to be used for meeting social or recreation activities of members of normally non-profit, philanthropic, social service, athletic, or business type organizations without any residences on the site. So this particular use is only included in our Hamlet public institutional district, and which, you know, it's been fine in there for the last 30, 40 some odd years. But with regards to this, we're having a lot of opportunities where certain types of clubs are wanting to kind of be a bit more organized. A really good example of this is what's happened out at the McNally School, where they've kind of created this little enclave of artists, you know, housing their, you know, their artist studios or like a dance facility or something in a common building. So this clubs and fraternal organizations, although kind of an archaic term, that's essentially what it could be. So it could be like, you know, a pottery club, or there's a number of other ones that have been looking at moving out into the county to locate their business, just for, you know, the cost of renting a facility is getting quite high in the city. Rather wanting someplace that's maybe a little bit more quiet to do what their work. So it was felt that this type of use would be fairly compatible with what's existing in a hamlet. Once again, it could benefit a hamlet by having this type of organization locating nearby. And it does allow for these landowners to have a few extra uses so that when their properties come up available, that they can include them and consider them without having to jump through a bunch of hoops to do that. So with that, this application was circulated to the county departments and external agencies, including the city of Lethbridge. There was no concerns from any of the organizations or the city with regards to the proposed application. We did advertise this bylaw in the July 23rd and 30th editions of the Sunny South News. I didn't receive any calls expressing any concerns with the application as proposed. So with that, we have recommended that the bylaw be read a second and third time. Is there any questions of council on this particular application?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the reason for changing this bylaw is that to encourage the activities in the hamlets, and or was there something stopping it from being able to happen?
There was, well, this is a specific request from a specific landowner. So they have been, getting a lot of inquiries about having these types of businesses locating in a building that they currently have, which is vacant. But it's not allowed under the district, so they couldn't allow for that property to be leased for that use. But it was seen as, like the Hamlet Industrial District is somewhat limiting in what it was allowing for. It probably could use a bit of an overhaul anyhow, but this allows for some more flexibility. It allows for certain types of uses to come into the hamlet that aren't going to negatively impact the adjacent landowners, and it can help boost the economy for that particular area. Maybe drawing more people out to the hamlets.
Any other questions? I just have one, that little yellow circle on a little note you got from Leah Olson. Is there a particular reason? It says Alberta government above it.
Nope, that's just what she highlighted for their application, or for their comments. I don't think there's any reason other than that.
Okay.
That I can tell.
Doesn't want to leave.
I don't, yeah. I didn't put it there.
No,
Okay.
I think when we were practicing, it was where you could put notes in, and we
Okay.
just never erased it.
Okay, I didn't put any.
No, it's not you.
Council have any other questions? If not, is there anyone here wishing to speak against the bylaw? Anyone wishing to speak against the bylaw? And last call, anyone wishing to speak against the bylaw? Anyone wishing to speak for the bylaw? Anyone wishing to speak for the bylaw? And last call, anyone wishing to speak for the bylaw? Seeing no one, does council have any last questions? If not, we could have a motion to come out of public hearing. Ryan, you want to put that up?
Hang on,
Okay.
We'll move the closing.
Sorry?
We'll move the closing.
Again. Okay, so it's before you. Go ahead and vote, please. And it is carried. Second reading? No, we did first. We closed the hearing, so now we need to do second reading.
Oh, we did it first.
Yeah. Bob? Any discussion on that? Right? Before you, please go ahead and vote. It is carried unanimously. And third reading. Morris? Any discussion? Seeing none, or you put it up, go ahead and vote. And it is carried as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
You need to wait till 2.
Steve?
Well, we have the public hearing for the Vulcan
Steve?
County.
Do I need to wait till 2? For the public hearing? It's for the Vulcan County. Wait, should I wait till 2 o'clock? Hillary? Alright. Sorry, I was just conferring with Steve on that.
Yeah.
So, we could carry on, it's just if somebody did show up at 2, we would have to give them the opportunity to speak. I don't anticipate anybody showing up, we didn't have anybody come to the other, IEPs that we've had, so there's nothing controversial with regards to this particular bylaw, so. Council's discretion, I guess, to carry on.
Okay, and we need a motion to open the public hearing.
Move so.
Morris? Put that up for me. And it is before you, so go ahead and vote when you're ready. Need one more yet. No. And that is carried. So Hillary, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is for bylaws 19-022, which is the Lethbridge County, Vulcan County Intermunicipal Development Plan. Council had previously approved first reading of this bylaw on June the 20th of 2019. As council is probably aware, we are required under the Municipal Government Act to create intermunicipal development plans between 2 adjacent municipalities. This is the one obviously between Lethbridge County and Vulcan County. We started this IDP in February of 2019. Administration agreed that Lethbridge County Administration would draft the plan with the mapping to be completed by the Oldman River Regional Services Commission. The plan provides a framework for addressing the land uses within the fringe area between the 2 counties and includes policies on referrals and dispute resolution, land use, for example, agriculture, resource extraction, industry and energy developments, and transportation and road networks. An open house for this particular IDP was held on May 27th at the Barron's Community Hall. The open house was attended by 9 affected landowners, administration from both municipalities, as well as a number of county, Lethbridge County Council. No concerns were expressed at the open house regarding the plan. The draft IEP was sent to external agencies for their review and comment. We received comments back from Alberta Transportation, ACO Pipelines, and TransCanada Corporation. No other comments were received. No objections or concerns were expressed by either of those agencies regarding the proposed plan. A public notice was advertised in the July 23rd and 30th editions of the Sunny South News. We did not receive any comments or concerns with regards to the IDP as proposed. So with that, this process was fairly straightforward with regards to the creation of this plan. We are just doing what we have already been doing with the county of Vulcan County in terms of sending referrals and speaking to area projects of mutual interest. So with that, I would recommend that bylaw 19-022 be read a second and a third time. Are there any questions in council on this particular document?
Yeah.
Just so, I just noticed that in the ad we sent out, it does say 1:30, so, yeah. So there's some disconnect between the agenda and the ad, so I think we're covered.
Okay.
So in other words, we're late or we're.
So we're fine.
Late.
It's better late than never.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak against the bylaw? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against the bylaw? And last call, is there anyone wishing to speak against the bylaw? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the bylaw? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the bylaw? And last call for anyone wishing to speak in favor of the bylaw. Seeing none, does council have any last questions? Seeing none, would somebody care to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Move so.
Dwayne, you want to put that up? Okay, it is before you to close the public hearing. Go ahead and vote, please. And that is carried. Second reading. Lons? Any discussion? Second reading is before you with bylaw 19-022. Please go ahead and vote now. And that is carried. And third reading.
I'll move third reading.
Any discussion on that? Seeing none, it is before you for third reading of bylaw 19-022. Go ahead and vote when you're ready. And it is carried. I believe that does conclude the meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move so.
Yeah. And that is before you, so the time is wrong.
Yes, I'll fix it.
How's that?
I'll fix it. And then the words are logged out.
you haven't voted yet.
She can record it though,
Okay,
if they say yay.
it's before those who haven't logged out, so go ahead and vote. And the other people who have logged out, are you in favor or opposed? In favor? How about you, Ken? Oh, you're voting now.
And then if it doesn't go
No, you haven't voted yet. Oh, so you're voted in favor, okay. We're adjourned. Thank you.